Hey folks, man, this is Monk. We are back with another episode of Clashes of Cinematics. And I'm joined as always with my co-host, Bobby Blockbuster.
Yo!
Yeah, so we got a special one, folks. This is actually a Japanese film by the name of Battle Royale. This film came out in the year 2000, so that's right on the cusp of our cutoff point. And in this film, the Japanese government captures a class of 9th grade students and forces them to kill one another under the Revolutionary Battle Royale Act. And this film is directed by Kinji Fukasaku. So there's a big hefty cast in this. We've got a classroom of 40-some students, man. So we'll get into that a little bit when we get into the characters. But first, let's get into this story, man.
I mean, first and foremost, I like how it underlines the fact that there was a social collapse due to pretty much youth and revolt. And I like how it kind of just highlights the fact that there is a major divide between the older generations and the younger ones. And, yeah,
it's interesting because as I'm watching this, I'm like, how bad could these kids be? But also know that Japanese culture is a little bit more disciplined than ours. Yes. I think there's a higher respect for elders and authority. You know what I'm saying? So maybe these kids are doing stuff that to me didn't seem that bad, but there is probably a bit more like, yo what's going on? Yeah. You talking back?
Exactly. What? You ain't take the trash out? Ooh, But and that's the thing, because we know we're all predisposed to knowing that youth will buck the system. I know I did. You did. We all did. That's in some way, shape, or form. The only time we see some kind of carnage is when the one dude, I think his name's Nobu, and he shanked up the teacher in the butt.
That's crazy to me because that scene reminded me of the film 187 with Sam Jackson, and he's the principal of this troubled school, and Method Man stabs him in his butt, with the rusty screwdriver. What is the butt cheek? Was it like the lower thigh or something?
Sam L caught it in the ribs.
Oh, okay. Oh, my bad.
Sam L. You know what I'm saying? This dude kind of got off.
Which was crazy because Method Man was wild in his first film career. Because didn't he throw a dude off the roof in Copland?
He did.
So he was playing. Yes. He was like a stereotypical goon in the movies in the beginning.
Yes, he was.
But to bring it back around, that's interesting. So it's so bad they institute this Battle Royale Act, which is crazy because their solution is to put these kids all on the island and make them fight and compete against each other. And I don't know what the lesson is, but I guess society is watching this event as well. It's being televised in a way, so they're kind of seen. But it seems like so small, of a scope.
Yeah, it really does, and they don't show us in this. I mean, we've seen films in this likeness that take this approach, and they kind of emphasize the fact of how it's being publicly displayed.
Yeah, like in the Hunger Games, everyone's watching.
And that's the one. This one constantly there's the compare and contrast. But with this one, it's wild because they say it's every 3 years they randomly select one classroom out of a randomly selected school. So it's then how are you sure that you're punishing the right children? There are a lot of kids in this classroom that seem like they're just regular good kids. You know what I'm saying?
Or maybe it's a thing where we're using them as an example of a greater good. Maybe the other kids are like, I hope it ain't my class.
Victims
and maybe it'll force them to behave better. Hoping maybe they're in their head they're thinking this is how it's determined when in fact it is random. But anyway, what ends up happening? These kids thinking they're going on a field trip. And they end up getting gassed, and they wake up in this building, all of them not knowing where they are, what's what, and then their teacher's there, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he tells them what's what, and it's crazy, it announces that they will be sent out to this island, and they've got to kill each other till there's one left. Yes. And that's crazy.
Within 3 days.
And I think what's cool with that, we get the moment where they still don't know if this thing is real or not. We're seeing examples being made,
Yes. Oh my gosh, this one young lady, she starts whispering secrets, and he's like, no whispering. And they're all wearing these collars. And, this is where you can tell it's not just about discipline, it's about get back, because the example is made with the student that actually did the stabbing on the teacher. And it's wild because he tells him, he's like, yeah, I told you stop coming to school, and you stopped coming. Then you want to come to school on the day you thought that there was a field trip. Aha, joke's on you. And then let me show you what this collar do. Bam, blow up your neck. It's crazy.
And then we know it's real. So I think what's cool about this setup too is, we mention Hunger Games a lot just because that's the closest reference we've got. But, they didn't send these kids out and, You know, and interesting the rules that they put in play. I think it's interesting, especially with the collars, you know, which remind me of Running Man.
Yes.
But like my first thought is, why not just hide until there's a few people left? But one of the rules is if there's zones on this island and zones are being designated, they're shifting around. And at a certain period of time, your zone becomes a danger zone.
Yes.
And if you're in that zone too long, your collar is going to blow up. So that's going to prevent people from hunkering down or holding a fort down or hiding, you know, so it forces you to engage in this game. But they're also being sent out with packs and supplies. And I love this part, man. It's great.
You know, and what I also like is before they distribute the packs, they also show that this is sanctioned by the government because right when the kids start to panic and they're like, oh my God, they're seeing their fellow students.
They're like, call the police.
No, the military comes in to restore order. Like, no, we are fully aware of what's going on. We are in support of what's going on. And y'all are going to play ball or we're going to just 86 all y'all right now. And then it's cool. Well, it's not cool, but it's it's comical in a sense because then he's like, okay, class, it's video time. And they put on the video and the happiest lady in this whole movie.
No, she was awesome.
She's like, yeah. And so what we're going to do is she's breaking down the rules and stuff. And she's like, by the way, everyone gets a pack, but everyone doesn't get a lucky pack. You know, you get your water, your food. You might get an axe. You might get a cooking pot lid. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know.
So I love that fact. They're not all going out with the same armaments, but some things, even things that aren't necessarily direct weapons, can give you a certain advantage. Like you get some binoculars. You could probably peep out and see where these other guys are moving. But I mean, but you gotta close. You gotta use what you got though.
These guys are not military trained.
That's what I'm saying though. but by having I got binoculars. I could see some danger probably ahead and maybe make a different move, or I could see someone else who's got even less than me and jump them and take their stuff because there's
I want the Uzi.
The crazy part about it is there's this genre of games now. Started with Fortnite Battle Royale. Everyone drops in, you got nothing, and first thing you got to do is search around, try to find weapons. Some people find better. You might find a sniper rifle. You might have a machine gun. But same as this film, the goal is to be the last survivor, and I think that taps into that. I feel like this probably inspired some of these games in a way with that mechanic,
with the concept. But
and if you could jump someone, take their weapon, someone is weak.
But then you would have to team up with somebody that you ultimately would have to kill.
I think it's dope, man. It encourages you to use your wits. I mean, you look at the film Predator. Arnold didn't beat that Predator with his Uzi. He had to use his wits and come up with some
very true.
Use the environment. So you still have a chance, It's just not going to come out down to just pure brawn and pure strength. Right. And it's interesting how the different people are playing the game. I love the fact that we have those the former winners in because they're approaching this thing way different. They're not hesitating. They know what's at stake already, and they're going in immediately getting the job done. While where other kids, some of them have to get over that first kill thing, or they're still in it trying to be friends and
or they don't even want to catch the contestants.
Yeah.
What I like about it too is it kind of throws you into three phases. You know what I'm saying? You are either going to be a killer, you're going to be a situationalist, or you're going to be a survivor. And somehow, some way, you got to find a way to intertwine all three. You see what I'm saying? To make it to the other side, you got to tap in to the darkest parts of your morality.
It also leads to how, like, I love the dynamics that the story allows to play out, like the friendship and stuff like that. Like, you can see, like the hackers, they click up immediately. Like, you can tell these guys, they're always around each other. They're really best buddies. Their first idea is like, I know what the rules are, but if I could get as far as I can with my buddies, then let's go. But then you got some people who are more soloists, lone wolfies. And then the interesting dynamic to me came with the girls, man. You got that bully group of girls, and then even that fell apart almost immediately. It almost went to first girl for themselves because you realize that most of these girls are cool with the super mean girl leader because they don't want to be picked on themselves. So there's no loyalty when things start breaking down, and it leads to some really interesting situations.
It really does, but then you see the shining star was the outcasted, the one that was most picked on in Mitsuko, and she was because she was already damaged, she was already broken. Like they threw her into a situation not knowing that her situation before this was just as bad, if not worse. You know what I'm saying? So, and not just because she was
not worse than she
not just because she was getting picked on.
She wasn't about to get killed though.
No, she wasn't about to get killed. But she had already caught a body. She had already caught a body.
Yeah, yeah. You know she's hardened. So yeah. Like I said,
you see what I'm saying? So she was kind of numb at the edges a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and she was easier for her to adapt to the situation.
Yeah, you got like a boyfriend girlfriend situation. So it's a situation that's putting stresses on. Like I love this thing. You're just putting people in a situation and playing around, just trying to display how they're going to react. It amazes me, I think, the most how fast some of them adapted to playing this game. And I think maybe they're the ones that received the initial interrogation and the briefing best. They're like, yo, this is real. Like there's no, like all that fear, we gotta put that to the side.
They push past the panic.
I'm trying to live.
You gotta live. And, you know, another thing that I like is, as you know, not the because some people got waxed real quick. But the ones that we kind of build a little bit more of an emotional compass with, and we see them, they last a little bit longer. They all say something drastic before they die. Like one dude, he gets killed by the girl. He's like, but I had a crush on you the whole time. She's like, I didn't know. Like, would that have changed your mind? You want to kill them?
I love it because it's playing on this kind of, I wouldn't say totally innocent period in life, but it is a coming of age period. And a lot of these dynamics are at play, even with their relationships and stuff. Yeah. So you see that, man. Like there's even the one girl who runs up on the, she's and the girl's like, "Oh, we're cool, ain't we?" Yeah. You know, and she's like, "Yeah." And I think this was the main. I think she was the leader of the main girls, the main cool girl. You know, and she know that these girls kind of admire her or they fear her. They don't want her to become a target of her bullying.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so they let their guard down when she becomes nice to them, and she's using that to her advantage. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. And you see that she's playing them like she was playing them in the school setting. You know?
I think that this really hits so hard because of this cast. This was kids playing kids. It wasn't like, seasoned actors shaving the beard off or, making other, adjusting, wearing loose clothes so they look like they 13. These were 15-year-olds playing 15-year-olds. And I think that's why it had such a heavy impact when people were watching this. That's why there's a disclaimer at the beginning of this jump saying, hey man, if you are under 15, you should not be watching this movie. If you have parents, or if your parents know, if you have kids that are under 15, don't watch it with them. Like they tried to ban this film in Japan.
For real?
Yes, because of how heavy this subject matter is. And it's not just about the violence and about the killing. It's about the social commentary. For a lot of these young actors, actresses, I mean, I don't know if they starred in things before, but the way they presented themselves and presented these characters, they presented themselves like seasoned veterans. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he definitely held it down on their aspects, man. Shout out to my teacher, man, played by Tekashi Kitano.
Yes.
He also goes by the name Beat Tekashi too. It depends on, I think he's also a director and / actor. So depending on which side of the camera he's on, he will have different names. He's been in films like, I remember watching Brother, Satone. That's another one. He played Ichi, not Ichi, but he was Zatoichi, the blind swordsman.
Yeah,
he played, so, but he's a really great actor. So he's playing the teacher in this, and and I guess he's the substitute, at the time. But then he ends up being the guy that's running the game, so to speak, when they come to the island. And I love it because he seems like a reasonable, calm, mellow guy at the school. And then he gets cut up. But then when he's at the island, bro, he is showing his ass, and he's one of the most fun characters to watch in this.
He really is.
Like, cause he's easing them into it. And I love when he smacks that one kid up who showed up. The one that cut him.
Yep.
And it's just like, and that's when the kids are like, yo, whoa, like we don't get smacked.
We out the classroom. I love his calm demeanor because even though in a state of panic and all this chaos and carnage around him, he is so comfortable with it. My man's got on the soccer dad jumpsuit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that reminds me of Russian Mafia, bro.
Yeah, he's out there like. There's a part where because I love how the film the film progresses, it keeps giving you body counts. Oh, 29 to go, 27 to go, so and so died, and then there's a part where there's like maybe 11 people left, and then there's this calm music playing, and you see him out on the trampoline doing some
doing his exercise.
It's like, bro, my man, he's not missing a beat.
I love his delivery in this. He's telling them some of the most messed up stuff, and he's like, yeah, let's go, like just go, and like almost with the same attitude as the announcer, the girl that plays that gives them the rules.
Like there's a part where like the body count ain't moving fast enough. He's like, now I'm gonna need you guys to get a little more energetic. So since y'all are lacking, we're gonna go ahead and make some more danger zones to get this killing up. We need y'all to, you know, and then
maybe they got like a set time or a budget.
Right. There's one part where he gets on the mic. He's like, everybody, it's noon. Take a break from the killing and enjoy your lunch. It's like, what the hell, man?
He's awesome, man. Even to his very end in this film, he's awesome, man. Like it's crazy because I watched part 2 not too long ago, and I wish he was in there. He's kind of like a really cool character to zero in on this.
Absolutely.
You know, outside of the kids.
And you know, one of the ones of the children that stood out to me most was Kyle Shabaska, played Mitsuko. I've spoken on her slightly, but I like the fact that they really kind of dive into this character arc with her being damaged goods and being the most equipped to survive because of, you know, her life experiences. Like the way that she just easily adapts to the rules of the game and starts to just catch bodies like she's used to it. Whereas it shows that, you know, you never judge people by, you know, what you think they are, because nobody knew what she was really going through out of school, beneath the surface. I mean, it shows that she's getting picked on. Her home life is not good. She has to fight off, you know, a man trying to, you know, a pedophile pretty much, so to speak. And, you know, you wouldn't know that, but then it's like, you know, with her character dynamic, it's like she found solace in the fact that she was never safe. She wasn't safe at home. She wasn't safe at school.
So she's already on her guard, you know?
In this situation, nobody was safe from her. And I love how they really drove that nail in, because, I mean, she was catching bodies with a Colgate smile. She was slicing people's necks, like, you know, taking people's weapons. I love the setting, you know, because it kind of gives it that Lord of the Flies feel. You know, they take them on this isolated island. They're like,
this is definitely...
And they're like, yo, by the way, you know, this is a big island. It's secluded. Y'all are the only inhabitants, and we're watching y'all, but you're not going to get no help from no adults. You're not going to get no help from no authorities. You're not going to get no help from each other. You know what I'm saying? You are just in this. It's almost like being sardines in a can, but there's no lid.
It's just a big space, but you could probably walk across the whole thing in a couple hours, you know, you know, but, and I think also you've got different terrain levels, you know, there's flat areas and there's like more hills and almost cliffside areas.
And there's oceans.
And, man. I mean, it definitely, it's one of them things, man. Like if I'm in this situation, I don't know what my attack would be. And they're forcing you to move through it with those time zones that if you stay in there too long, then your neck's gonna blow up. So yeah, man.
You don't get to find a big leaf and hide under it.
It's crazy, bro. You're isolated. No one's coming to help you. Yeah, it's also interesting too when we get to like the music aspect of this, because the decision to just use this mostly classical music, I thought that was kind of cool. It helps, you know, push it along in an interesting way. It makes everything feel more heavy though and dramatic at times too.
And you know, ultimately, you know, the impact of this film. The cultural impact that this film had, not just overseas, but in the States. I mean, this film has such a large cult following for a reason. You know what I'm saying? You cannot watch this film and not take something away from it. It is so much more than just violence, gore, and killing. You know what I'm saying? Only you know, somebody with an untrained eye. If that's all you see, more power to you. But I think you probably should check your glasses.
There's a heavy dose of social commentary that I think makes this rise above more than just simply being a slashing and killing and carnage.
And think of how many films that this film did inspire. I mean, it was a book first, and you know, this film, it did. I mean, of course, like we talked about, there's heavy comparisons between this and Hunger Games, justifiably so. But even Quentin Tarantino said, and this is one of his favorite films. And there are so many other films where you can just be like, man, watching this, like, oh man, it makes me think of this or that. You know, whether it's because of the violence, because of the killing, because of the situations, and everything above.
Yeah, and that's interesting too, because I think that's where he first saw. I think her name is Chiaki Kuriyama. She plays Gogo in Kill Bill, the schoolgirl with the ball and the chain thing.
Yet again, on the impact of this film, you think of how long its reach became. I mean, after the success of this film, not only did we get a sequel, we got video games. They did a manga You know what I'm saying? And they were going to do an American.
They
had a manga, comic book situation, and they had all intentions on making a U.S. adaptation of this film, same subject matter, running parallel with this one. But then that got halted because Hunger Games came out first, and if they proceeded, then that film would then be considered to be a ripoff of Hunger Games in the U.S.
If I was to do it, I would probably do like something for like Netflix, give me like 6 episodes.
Yeah. Well, I was reading this article, and they said that now that the Hunger Games wave is kind of falling down, they might revisit that thought and come back with a Battle Royale remake.
Yeah, man, there's enough time that passed, where there's people that are living now that are of that age to be interested in something like this that haven't seen Hunger Games.
And the thing is, I hate to say it this way, but we live in a world full of remakes anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I would definitely encourage you to check the sequel out too, because the sequel is even more bonkers. We're getting that. They got to the point where there's a group of kids that have formed an army that's working against the game, so they send several teams in to fight them, yo. And
I saw on the cover one of them had like a SWAT helmet on. Is that
so then this is the crazy part, yo. They got you're paired with a collar with someone. So check this out, right? If you get too far away from that person, your collars explode. Dude, if that person dies, your joint explodes. So that makes it's bananas.
There's a movie called Wedlock with Rutger Hauer and my girl that was in The Blood of Heroes.
Okay, Joan Chen.
Yeah. They're both in it, and pretty much it's a jail film, and you're in a co-ed prison, and you're collared up with somebody else, and if y'all separate too far, your collars explode. Same exact thing, man. It's a dope movie too. We're gonna bring that up.
It's a crazy different energy, and it just runs. Some of the stuff runs parallel, but it's just ramped up to the higher level.
Yeah, why not?
I think it's bananas, man. So think about it. You get dropped off, and your partner's scared. It doesn't want to move.
Buck up.
You're gonna die. Or you know what I'm saying? Or say you're pinned down on the fire and your partner's out there trapped. You gotta go get him. One way or another. Either you gotta help him stay alive.
What if your partner's too about it and then they get killed?
That too could be a problem.
And you're gonna be killed for not having their back, for being soft.
It's chaos, bro.
Man, wow,
it's
crazy.
So chaotic.
I'm watching that when I get home.
Yeah, it's so chaotic. It's good, man. Yeah, it's just wild. But yeah, man, I think we could wrap this one up, man. Definitely check out Battle Royale. It's a great time. It's a film that's just different and new, man. And I'm happy I'm not one of these people that get dissuaded by subtitles and stuff like that, because you'll miss out on a lot of really good films that way, man.
Absolutely. And we did say it was on Tubi for 800 years, but it's only on there for 2 more days. So by the time this drops, it probably won't be on Tubi, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are other platforms that you can view it on, like Plex is another good one. And it'll probably find its way back on Tubi. And with that installment, it is English dubbed, and the thing is like sometimes the dub just don't do justice by the original. The voiceovers just don't really coincide with the facial expressions and stuff like that. So I like watching subtitled films, but what works for me is I watch them twice. Like the first time I watch just to see what I'm seeing, come up with my own thought process of what they're saying, and then I watch it a second time to read it.
Especially with a language like Japanese, I think it's just the emotion just really translates very well, like especially when they get to yelling. But I did find that there is a full copy of this film, a director's cut on YouTube, streaming free. So if you want to check it out there, you can watch it. But definitely
that's what happens when a film is loved. There's never a way not to watch it. Know that.
Yeah, well, we're going to be out of here, folks, man. Make sure you check out Battle Royale. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends about us. Turn on notifications. And, you could join, too, if you want to help out with our pockets a little bit. Yeah. You can catch me at Monkey Blood on Twitter and Instagram.
And this is Bobby Blockbuster. You can always catch me on the next show.
Yeah, and we're on Classes of Cinematics on Instagram. And we're on TikTok at Classes of Cinematics, some kind of. You're probably just gonna have to search that one because I don't know the exact wording of that account. But we out of here, folks, man. We're gonna catch y'all next time. Peace.